Good day, class. Today's lesson is going to be about carpetbaggers, the impeachment of President Johnson, and the rise of the Ku Klux Klan. Okay, so make sure you have your packet, and if you don't have your packet, make sure you have some lined sheets of paper, and let's begin. Now, here is your warm-up picture. Now, before you begin, if you have read the Bible or were told about the Bible, you had Bible studies or something like that, this picture should become a little bit easier for you when you read the bottom. It says the modern Samson. The picture of the man with the woman in the center, that will help you out a lot. But if you have no idea, you've never read it, you don't know the stories, that's fine. The question for you is, what do you see in this picture? Now, luckily for you, this image is a lot clearer than it would be in the classroom. So that you can actually see a lot more clearly what's on the screen as opposed when I displayed this in the classroom. Okay, so make a list of things you see. Now, once you're finished, you are going to write, what do you think is going on in this picture? So let's begin with the notes. Now, during the Reconstruction time, there were actually a lot of Northerners who went down to the South because they knew that a lot of the former mayors, senators, governors, representatives, they couldn't be in political office anymore because they did one of three things. They either supported secession, which basically meant that the state removes itself from the United States. Two, they fought in the Civil War for the Confederacy. Or three, they favored, at one time or another, slavery. So there was a lot of political offices open. So a lot of these people from the North came down to the South, and they were known as carpetbaggers because when they arrived, their bags that had their belongings, and since their suitcase was made of carpet fabric. So if you've ever been to a nice hotel or maybe even a casino, you might notice that their carpet has some designs on it, and that's what their bag was made of. Now, the thing is, think of it like this. When you were little, and let's say you got in trouble for whatever reason, and your parents told you you cannot play your Xbox or your PlayStation, and a kid in your neighborhood you really don't know basically comes and says, hey, how about this? Let me play the Xbox or PlayStation, and that way you can still get your kills, you can get your streaks, whatever it may be that you're working on the game. The thing you have to know is this: who's really enjoying themselves? The kid in the neighborhood or you? And the answer will be the kid, because he's the one who's playing. Now he may tell you, "Oh, I'll do what you say because I've never played this game. Just tell me what to do." Chances are he's not going to listen because he has the control. And that's what happened a lot of the time with these guys. They came in here into the South and they did not do what they were going to do. They basically exploited the South. Not all of them, mind you, not all of them, but there were some that did. Now, the local residents in the South saw these guys as intruders. They saw that these guys were basically trying to make a quick buck in a sense, or trying to get political power, and using the South's post-war turmoil to get some advantage. Now, I'm sure you've seen a movie or a TV show or something where you heard the word scallywag. Now, that is an old Scottish-Irish term that means a weak, underfed, worthless animal. So the equivalent would be a stray dog, stray cat, whatever. Um, If you've ever seen the movie Bolt, that cat would be a great example of a scallywag. Now, the thing is, it's one thing for Southerners to call someone else a scallywag, but the thing is that label actually brought some actual grief with it, because when people heard that, oh, so and so is a scallywag, they knew, oh, this person is going against us. They're not one of us. And they would basically do some retaliation to those people. If they had crops, they might let animals go through the crops, and destroy them or eat them. If they had a business, they might terrorize the business. Or if the person was lucky, they didn't shop there anymore. Um, and the thing is, a lot of these scallywags were former Whigs, and they were small farm owners who did not want the wealthy plantation owners, to regain power. Because you have to remember, a lot of these small farm owners, they couldn't afford slaves. So they had to work the land themselves. They worked hard, they did it themselves, and they're barely making ends meet. While these people who had plantations that had hundreds of slaves, or even just several dozen slaves, they got a lot done, and they had a lot of land, and they could purchase more land or purchase more slaves. And so that left the small farm owners hurting. And that's exactly what happened to Abraham Lincoln's dad. He had to move a couple times because it just so happened the paperwork that the Lincoln's dad put in mysteriously got messed up. And it just so happened a big plantation owner took that land. Okay, so it was, in a sense, for in a sense, selfish reasons, that a lot of small farm owners didn't want slavery to be around. They didn't want the plantation owners to have their way. Okay, and you have to remember, during the Civil War, a lot of these soldiers who were captured or almost killed were like, you know what? Why am I fighting for to have slavery if I don't even have slaves? Yeah, it helps our economy and things like that, but I'm working hard on my land by myself without any slaves. And the person who's really going to benefit is this plantation owner who has money, where I'm barely struggling and sacrificing my life. And I almost lose it. So why would I do this? And so a lot of those guys walked away from the war. When they got captured, they did not return to fighting. Because again, why would they? There's nothing in it for them. Now, from the last video, you should remember that the Senate and the House of Representatives basically passed some measures saying that President Johnson couldn't fire anybody. It was called the Tenure of Office Act without the Senate approval. Now, the thing is, they did this because they didn't trust Johnson. Now, on August 5th, 1867, President Johnson asked Secretary of State Edwin Stanton to resign. He's basically telling him, dude, just quit. Do me a favor. Both of us a favor. Just quit. But Stanton says, no, I am not going to quit. Now, a week later, Johnson has this idea that he's going to suspend Stanton and replace him with the great General Ulysses S. Grant. Now, Grant at this time, he is like the top man in the country. Right now, if Lincoln had been alive, Lincoln would be the top man. But since Lincoln's not there, the next guy to get the praise was Ulysses S. Grant. All right, so his popularity was above everybody in the country. Not only did he win the Civil War, he beat the great Robert E. Lee. He made him surrender to him. You know, so there was that. Now, several months later, President Johnson tells Congress, "Oh, hey, you know what? I forgot to tell you. I suspended Stanton, and Grant took his place. I'm sorry, I was supposed to tell you, but you know, slipped my mind." And Congress is like, "Uh, what? What was that? Say it again, one more time." And they did not really like that. So on January 14th, 1868, Ulysses S. Grant realizes, man, this administration sucks. They're they are not that great. Things are going downhill, and Grant tells Johnson that he's quitting his position and giving it back to Stanton. Now, I give the example in class. Think of like somebody you admire the most, and they tell you, you know what? Somebody you trust too, somebody you admire and trust. If they tell you, man, you should not eat at this one place, you should not eat there. Oh my God, it sucks. The service is horrible. The food is terrible. The prices are expensive. You know, chances are you will not go. Now, you may wait for somebody else to go, and if they say, oh man, you know, that's really good, then you might kind of lean one way or the other. But the thing is, if you really trust and admire somebody and they tell you something is bad, chances are you're not going to go. And that's what Grant tells people. Now, after a month, Johnson can't find anybody to take Stanton's position, and he basically has to fire him. He doesn't have to, he wants to. And the thing is, if you notice the dates, just 3 days later, the House of Representatives impeach Johnson for violating the Tenure of Office Act. Now, again, this Tenure of Office Act, it wasn't something that was made from the beginning. It was something made for Johnson, specifically for him, because Congress did not trust him. And this is the first time ever a president has been charged with an impeachment. Now, the thing is, for an impeachment to be truly effective, it has to go through the House of Representatives and the Senate. So since it went through the House of Representatives, it now goes to the Senate. And in the Senate, it's a show. You know, if you look to the picture on the right, you can see a little balcony in the top area. If you yourself went to Washington, D.C., you can go there, right? That's your chamber. And you can see what's going on. You can hear the debates, hear the voting. And the thing is, this is such a big show that they actually sell tickets to it. Now, as they're taking the votes, Johnson's impeachment falls by one vote. So he does not get truly impeached. You know, he is charged from the House of Representatives, and he is known as the first president to be charged with impeachment, but it's not a complete impeachment. Now, in the next election, nobody wants Johnson, not even his own party. So each side goes with another person. And that's basically the end of Johnson's presidential term. Now, your midpoint question is this: do you believe that President Johnson deserved to be impeached? Why or why not? Justify your answer with a logical reasoning. Now, as the writing prompt, it's on the bottom, as you can see. Um, yes, Johnson was a racist. Yes, he was a really bad president. And he was, in a sense, some people want to call him, he was a dumb president. But being a racist, being a dummy, it's not against the law. Okay. Yes, he vetoed stuff against African Americans, but again, that's not against the law. He was being impeached for basically firing a guy under Lincoln's administration. So, do you think he should be impeached? So write your answer and make sure it's in a complete sentence. And again, if you need to, use the writing prompt.